Hello everyone and welcome to Stitching Easy. My name is Ashley. Thank y'all so very much for joining me today. So I appreciate y'all. If you've been here before, hello my friends. How y'all doing today? If you guys are new, why hello. Thank you for clicking on this. I appreciate you guys. So alrighty, let's get into it, I suppose. Over the weekend let's see, what, Friday. Okay, today is Monday. Technically, today is September 11th, so there's that, it's a hard day in American history, and I feel like that's really truly one of those things, like everyone remembers exactly where they were whenever they heard. You're never gonna forget it. There are several things throughout history that if you're a part of it, you were, whatever, then you were there during it, I suppose, or alive during it. It's pretty impactful. So yeah. Anywho, so therefore, we're getting ready to start school here in just a minute, but I wanted to get, because it's Monday, not because, whatever, but because it's Monday. We're getting ready to start school here in just a minute. If you are new, we homeschool. How you doing? This is our 10th year. Two whole hands. 10th year of homeschooling. It's crazy. We've been doing it for a minute now. So anyway, yeah. So before we start, I just wanted to get this up to you guys. I wanted to make this yesterday. I laid in bed all day yesterday and just kind of slept, and yeah, because on Saturday I went to a craft fair that I was not planning on attending. Unexpected craft fair. So I made a short on Saturday of my booth. I will put it in at the end. It's not going to be like with music in the short or whatever. I can link it below, I guess, but just be like a little clip of the booth. I didn't really take photos of anything or anything. But yeah, I took a short, like I said, just a little clip. So what had happened? Alrighty. Friday. Everyone go back with me in time, won't you please? To Friday. So Friday about 4 p.m. I got a text. Some of you may know, some of you may not. I started selling Damsel in Defense. And so just kind of like an add-on. It's not really even an add-on to the shop, honestly, as far as like the Squid and the Whale, because honestly the Squid and the Whale is pretty much just LuLaRoe, because that's what I like. That's where, I've said that a million times, that's where my heart is. LuLaRoe is something else, and I know that, things get, I don't know. Anyway, it's a good one. So, I honestly just kind of did the Damsel in Defense thing as like for my family and for my friends to be able to like have some little something else, Christmas presents and just protection, things like that. So anyway, signed up for that like not even 3 weeks ago, like the other day. It may have been 3 weeks ago. It was like the other day. My lady texted me and was like, hi, I have an event. It's like an hour and 10 minutes from me, and she's like, I have an event tomorrow. She's like, they were there today. She's like, but I got too hot. She's like, I will have a space, it's already paid for, if you wanted to go and like take her inventory and do that. And I was just like, oh, I don't know, because like I said, I've just been like mentally like, okay, my next craft fair isn't until September 30th. Cool. And so I've just been like doing that and prepping for that, which is a good thing that I've been prepping, I'll say that one. So anyway, I was just like, man, I don't know, and so I waited a little bit before I text her back, talked to hubby, all that stuff, and he's like, it's whatever you want to do, because they all had to work, like the 3 guys all had to work, and so that was a lot of it too. It was just Miss B and myself. And like I said, it's like an hour away. It takes everything out of me to ride in the car, much less to drive the car, and then like set up and stuff. I'm like, I don't know. And so I talked to B, because I feel like that's the person that I would need to talk to. She's going to be, my other half, my macaroni to my cheese, right? The peanut butter to the jelly. So I asked her what she thought about it. She's like, I think we should do it. And she's like, she's like, I know Dad's already gonna tell me that I need to help you carry the stuff and get the bigger stuff. She's like, I think we can do it. And I'm like, okay. And so we did it. So we met the lady in town at Quick Trip, and we met her there and got her inventory, took it, and I was like, I told B, I was like, just because I'm new to this, and I mean, I know about things, she's only sent a few things with me, so that way I was like, wasn't overwhelmed. But I was like, I only know a little bit about the things. I've only been in it less than a month. And I was like, I want to take something that I know, so I felt comfortable, like, at the crochet, or at the booth, So it's like, I need to take something that's just going to be like, hi, I can just talk to you about this thing that I already know. So we took crochet. She took her artwork, but we were outside and it was really windy. And so it was hot, but it was windy. So everything got blown off the table. So she was just like, I'm not losing stickers. And I was like, cool. So she put her stuff away. Anyway, so we kind of had like a half and half. We had 2 tables because I knew nothing about it. Normally, if I had more than 12 hours prep time, honestly, because we left at 7, so okay, like 15 hours. I had 15 hours, which I really made my decision probably 12 hours to get everything together, and I knew I needed to rest first. So normally, okay, would have had like the 3 tables, the racks, all of that stuff. I grabbed 2 tubs of crochet. I grabbed one that I thought had all of the amigurumi in it, another one of like amigurumi that I've been working on, and some other like overflow, like little plushies and things. I took like the crop tops. I took the beanies because I'm like, okay, we're moving into fall, still feels like summer. I'm totally cool with it. I know the rest of the state isn't. Sorry, y'all. Like, I'm totally cool with it still being hot and also spooky season. My 2 favorite things meeting one another. Sorry, everyone else in the South that's just like over it and ready for their pumpkin spice lattes. Also don't like pumpkin spice, so I'm over here like, it's summer. So there's that. So anyway, so it was hot. But yeah, so like I said, I didn't really know what the setup was. She told me that there's a road and we're in the middle of the road, and so people will be walking on either side. And I was like, okay. And so I didn't really know what that meant. But it's like, it was in small-ish town, bigger than one I live in, but whatever. Anyway, and they had one street blocked off, and they had like tractors and stuff all set up. They had a car show at the other end, and then in the middle of it there were vendors. And so like they had really cool antique stores on either side, and they were all like old brick buildings from like probably statehood, like 1900 whatever, and they were so cool. And so just beautiful brick buildings, because I love that whenever they leave old things up and restore them as opposed to tearing them down and building new things. I'm just like, but why? There was already a thing. Let's just look how pretty they are. So anyway, I understand it if it's like condemned, but you know what I mean. So okay, maybe. Do we ever know what I mean? Alright, so anyway, so they had vendors on either side of the street, like in front of the stores, and there were a couple restaurants and just stuff. And so they had vendors on either side, and then in the middle of the road they had vendors lined up. So I'm like, okay, the middle of the road, I get it now. Like, because I'm like, the highway, like where are we? Like in a median? What do you mean? So your brain like, what the heck could it be? I kind of figured that's kind of what it was. Who knows? It's like people were walking on either side of the booth. So since I was just taking, I'm so sorry about my voice, y'all. My goodness. So sorry. Okay. So since we were just taking pretty much her inventory, which I knew wasn't going to be a lot because she wasn't going to overwhelm me, and then mostly just plushies and some hats. I only took 2 tables. So I only took 2 tables. We got there. I didn't have the canopy. So that was cool because it's, you know, only like 90 some degrees. Let's all be real. So anyway, so I set up 2 tables, and I kind of faced one way and B kind of faced another, and we had them to where they were facing out. Like, in retrospect, I wish I would have taken all 3 tables, because we could have set up with like the one, because we were on the end of the row, so there was no one on the other, you know, to the right of us. The people to the left of us were the Boy Scouts. Turns out the coolest Boy Scouts ever. Boy Scouts, like Scouts Honor. They were amazing people. So they were behind it. So it's like, I wish I would have taken all 3 tables, so we could have like scooted back a little bit with, and kind of set towards their table, and then people could have walked all around, because I felt the whole time like being out, we're kind of doing this and just like seeing, you know, making sure no one's picking anything up or anything like that, you know, trying to watch a table on either side of you and setting with your back turned. It's not a smart thing. So now I know that. But we sat there about an hour-ish, and the Boy Scout leader, the troop next to us, the guy was like, do y'all need a canopy? And I'm like, oh, you know, it's cool. Like, I was gonna bring it and I didn't, you know, I forgot. I got told about this, you know, last night, you know, yesterday afternoon, and I don't know. And he's like, there's one in my truck and I'm not using it. Do you need a canopy? And I was like, that would be amazing. Thank you so much. So he goes and gets his canopy, and like little Boy Scout troops like come over there and they put it up or whatever. And so like they grab one end or whatever, and B and I grabbed the other and scooted it over the tables. And instantly it was like 20 degrees cooler. And I was like, thank you so much, because I got sunburnt, B got sunburnt. In just that short time that we were out there. So I cannot even imagine I would probably be like this had we not been saved by the Boy Scouts. So thank you, troop. I know what they are, but I won't say it. You guys are amazing. So of course we had to buy some little something to support them, because it was like, you know, at this point these peanuts are priceless. So we got some peanuts, some honey roasted peanuts to bring home to the fam. So anywho, so we had the canopy, and we had the 2 tables on either side, and I had a little bit of Damsel in Defense on both of them, on like each table, and then crochet on each table. And beanies on each table, so that way if someone walked up, because there were a couple times that people walk up and they're like, oh, there's stuff over there too, and I was like, see, because it was like I should take that other table just in case. It's like if I would have, it would have connected, you know. But anyway, but we did really well. So as far as the Damsel in Defense stuff, I didn't do so well, but I was very glad that I took crochet, because otherwise, yeah. So, and that's what I was telling B, that next year, because this is like their 47th, I think it was, like annual, it's like a chili cook-off, and like some they have tractors and car shows and all that, and it's really cool. And so I told B, next year if we have just like our normal setup, I think we'll do really, really well at this one. Like it was pretty constant the whole time with people. Like I said, we were just in a weird spot. My booth wasn't at all what I was used to. I just kind of threw some stuff together. And so, yeah, but I think if we had our normal setup and our usual stuff, I think we would do really, really well at this event. So, I'll tell you real quickly what I sold, and then, yeah, a little bit more, like, you know, little tales from the craft fair. So, alright. So I sold a small pink and blue gummy worm. That was my very first sale, which I was very excited about, because I like that little gummy worm dude. He was super cute. And the little kid said they look like the gummy worm from Trolls. And I was like, well, there you go. And so I sold a small rainbow octopus. Then I sold a Damsel in Defense socket to me. Or no, socket slim. I kept calling it a socket to me, and that's not what it's called. Although, I think that's what it should be called. I'm just saying. A socket slim, which is like the aluminum tool. Alright. Then I sold, it was so funny, a lady came up and really liked the beanies, and then she was like, what's the deal? She's like, is this a Pop-Tart? I was like, yes. And she's like, why? And I was like, that's a great question, honestly. And anyways, and she's like, you know, like, what do they do with these? And I'm like, it's a good question. I was like, I had one kid come up and tell me that he wished that it was a keychain. I was like, so I made it into a keychain for him and put it on his backpack. He's like, check it out, I have a Pop-Tart on my backpack. And she's just like, okay. She's like, you know, I don't understand it. And I was like, I can't say as I do either. And I was like, you know, I have pickles. I was like, and I have some chicken nuggets. And I was like, I had a kid come up earlier saying like, oh, I wish you had dino nuggets. And so she was like, okay. She's like, you know, I don't get it. So she's picking out hats and she decides on her hat. She lays it down. She's like, I don't know why, I don't understand it, and grabs a Pop-Tart. She's like, I need one too. It was so funny. So yeah, she was like, I have no idea what I'm doing with it, what the purpose is, but yeah, I need this Pop-Tart. So she bought a cherry Pop-Tart. So then let's see, a rainbow jellyfish, an extra large blue squid, like the big huge squid, which I was pretty excited about. I need to make some more of those. That was like a big hit. He was a big hit. Lots of people came up and really liked him. So I need to make some more of those. I make those with the Bernat blanket. Let's see. A blue jellyfish. A small blue jellyfish. A medium, the rainbow and black bee. The one I made just the other day, like the rainbow variegated yarn. That lady bought it for her little grandbaby that she's going to have. So that was pretty cool. Let's see, the little yellow and black bee with purple wings. Miss B made that sell because I was talking about Damsel in Defense and someone came up and asked about that bee and she was like, I think he's $10. And she's like, Mom, is he $10? And I was like, yep. She's like, okay. And turned around and like made a sale, so that was cool. A neon octopus with like the dark neon, the little dudes. A pastel, the medium jellyfish that was pink and his legs were like the pastel seafoamy green, purple, and blue. I sold my gnome, my medium, like my bigger-ish. I keep doing this with my hands like y'all can see my other hand. Anyway, the one gnome that I made with the Bernat blanket, the red, and he had like a gray hat, a little beard and stuff. And I swear I sold other stuff that I didn't write down. That's just what I wrote down because like money-wise, I have more money than I have things written down. So I need to go back and watch the clip and see what I don't have in inventory now. But yeah, because I had forgotten that I sold the gnome. And I was telling Derek about our day and I was just like, oh my gosh, that gnome, I forgot. Because that kid came up with his girlfriend and she really wanted, oh, what was it? Little monster or something, I don't remember. She really wanted something. She was like, well, if I give you the money back, like, will you buy it for me? And he's like, yeah, I'll do that. And he's like, I really want that gnome though. And she's like, oh, okay, well, do you really want the gnome? And he's like, yeah, I do. And so he bought the gnome and then she goes around to the other side and sees a pickle and she's like, oh my gosh, a pickle. And he was just like, yeah, that's cool. It's like, didn't buy her anything after all. I don't know, it was really funny. I was just like, oh, okay. So maybe they weren't boyfriend, girlfriend, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, could have been cousins or something. And he was just like, yeah, sure, whatever. I found something I like better. So there, it's a very cousin-y thing, I feel like. Although my cousins are pretty cool and they wouldn't do that. So I don't know. But anyway, it was funny. I met a guy he's an older guy that was there with his mom. And he was telling me whenever he was younger that his aunt tried to teach him to crochet and he was like, oh, you know, like one of these days, he's like, you know, I'll do it. And that she also did basket weaving, like native basket weaving and native beadwork. And I was like, that's so cool. I was like, because I know how to do the beadwork. I was like, but I have like, since I can remember, I have wanted to learn how to basket weave because it is just the coolest. They're absolutely beautiful. They carry water. I mean, come on. It's so cool. And so he's like, I know. He's like, you know, it's a dying art. And he's like, and I kept thinking, you know, I'd have time. And he's like, you know, you always think that you'll have time. He's like, but you don't. And I was like, you're absolutely right. And so anyways, I was telling him, I was like, you know, there are basket weaving classes, like, you know, because we live in the Cherokee Nation. And so I was like, you know, at Tahlequah, I was like, there are basket weaving classes. He's like, yeah, Salagi. And I was like, yeah. And anyways, he's like, yeah, I know. He's like, the place is so cool. So we kind of talked, you know, a little bit about whatever, and that whole thing. It was just really cool. But like I said, he's like, or not, but yeah, he's like, you think you have enough time and all that. So he just sat there and just kind of like admired the crochet, and like I said, we just kind of talked about basket weaving, which is really, really neat, because like I said, not a lot of people, it is a dying art, which is really sad. The beadwork kind of is too. Whenever B and I went to the women's, or not the women's expo, but the punk rock fest thing that we went to a couple weekends ago, it was, I guess that was, I don't know, yeah, last weekend. Anyway, there was a lady there that had some little things, and they were beadwork, and I was just like, oh my gosh, these are so cool. And that's, she had them priced perfectly. They were like $70 and $80 for like little bitty pieces, because it takes forever to do that, and people don't realize that, they're like, that's just big, they're beads. Yeah, well, it's one of those. But they were so cool. And so anyway, so talked to that dude. That was fun. Like I said, I like meeting the people at the craft fairs. That's one of my favorite things. I like meeting vendor friends. Like I said, we made friends with the Boy Scout people. The lady across from us was really sweet, because we got hot at one point. She like overheats. Where I am cold all the time, she is hot all the time. So she's out there just for a little bit, overheats. The lady across from us had one of those, like, you wet them, like the cooling rags, and that you put around your neck. And so she brought that for B. Let her have that for a little bit. So, because she went at one point into one of the antique stores and just stood there and looked around because she was so hot. And so got in some like little AC for a little bit, and then yeah, like I said, came out, and that lady's like, well, here, I have this for you. And it was so sweet. So I mean, people around us were watching out for us, which was really cool. And then there was a yarny lady. I made a yarny friend, which I love doing that. And so she, whenever we were coming through, I saw her because she had like the most beautiful shawls. That's what she had, was like wearables, beautiful things. And so I'm like, oh my goodness, like I love your stuff, like that's absolutely gorgeous. And she's like, thank you. And anyway, she obviously saw that we had crochet in our little wagon. We made one trip. We did so good. I meant to tell you guys that at the first. We got the 2 tables, and we had 3 tubs, and then B and I had our bags. But we got it all in the wagon and pulled it and helped each other and made one trip there. And then we packed everything up, all 3 tubs and 2 tables, packed those up and took them back in one load. So it was like score. So could have been worse. I don't think we could have made a second load leaving, just saying. So but yeah, walked past her or whatever. She was super sweet. So a little bit later she came up and had her little boy with her, and he was just the sweetest. And so she was first she walks up and she's like, her son really liked the little rainbow octopus, the one that I sold, or the jellyfish that I sold. And she's like, how much is this? And I was like, oh, he's $20. And she's like, good. And I just kind of looked at her. I'm like, so I'm assuming that you have, dealt with people in low prices at craft fairs too. And she's like, yes. And she's like, I appreciate that you realize what your time is worth and all those things. I was like, well, the material and the stuffing and all that, because I mean, he's a pretty big dude. And anyways, and she's like, good. She's like, I think that's fantastic. And I was like, well, thank you for going with that. I appreciate it. I was like, sometimes I come to these and people are like, yeah, it's what I had in the yarn, or got the yarn given to me and I just did whatever. And she's like, that lady right over there. And I just kind of like, this or whatever to look. And there's like a lady that has crochet blankets and quilts, and they were like full-size blankets, like, I mean, a big old blanket. Anyways, and she's like, she's selling her blankets for $25. And I was just like, I'm sorry, what? And she's like, yeah. She's like, she's selling them for $25. And I was just like, okay, wow. She's like, yeah. She's like, I'm, she's like, anyway. So she got it, that like your time is worth things, your inventory is worth things, all that. And so anyway, she was really cool. They have a crochet club, and they meet up like once a month or something like that. And she's like, we have people that just come to crochet, new people, like people that have been crocheting for a long time, a little bit of everything. She's like, we have one guy that just shows up, and she's like, he just crochets his dreads. And I had my hair up in a bun, and so you can really tell that like I have them. And so anyways, I was like, totally know what you mean. I was like, I crochet, you know, these things and my hair. And she was like, okay. She was like, see, she was like, it'd be perfect. But you know, she's like, we have one guy that just comes and crochets his dreads. So I was like, well, hey, all right, cool. So anyway, she invited me to like a meeting or whatever. So I made a yarny friend, so that was really cool. But yeah, so all in all, it was a good one. We made enough that it was definitely worth it. Worth, you know, going. We didn't stay the whole time. It was also like a bluegrass festival, so they had music going the whole time. There was a stage. We were just right there from the stage, so we got to listen to that. It's not really B's cup of tea as far as music, but you know, she listened to it. We jammed. Then let's see. So yeah, they weren't very far. You know, like I said, the band was right there. All that. The beer cart was right across from us, which, you know, whatever. That's what I was telling B. I was like, so since it's just the two of us, because the event lasted from 10 a.m. until 11 p.m., which normally you're probably going to do better like later in the night once it's like the night festival and all those things. I had no idea that it went as late as it did, so I didn't, not only did I not take the canopy, I didn't have our lights. They go around. I mean, we were very ill prepared. And so we just rolled up there looking like it was our very first craft fair for sure. And so I told B, I'm like, around a certain point, like, we're gonna dip. I know we're supposed to stay until late. I told the Damsel in Defense lady, I was like, I told her we might stay until 9. I was like, honestly, people are gonna start getting tipsy. It's just the two of us. I don't want to be here for like, just in case, you know. I was like, I'm already, like, we were already watching the table and all those things, you know, and you know, the darker it gets, we wouldn't be able to see all of those things. So I was like, I don't want to stay very late since it's just the two of us. It's an hour home. I'm exhausted already. So I was exhausted when we left that morning. Derek's like, why are you doing this like that morning? And I was like, that's a fantastic question. So anyway, but we went. So we were, like I said, I told B, I was like, probably like 7. We'll kick it till 7. That way we'll still have, you know, daylight, plenty of time to pack up, leave, be out of town, be like home probably even before dark. So the Boy Scout troop starts packing up at like 5, and B's just looking at me like, hey, do you see this? Like, are you checking this out right here? I was like, yes, I am. Like, okay, cool. And so like 5:15ish, they take their canopy, which I'm like, thank you so much, you guys saved us completely. So at this point the sun had moved to where if we scooted down just a little bit, there's a building that shaded us. So we scooted the tables down, and I told B, I was like, 6 o'clock, like, we'll give us 45 more minutes, we'll try it out. In that time I didn't make any sales, but I did have like one, I don't know, group come up or whatever, like a husband and a wife come up, and they were very interested in the Damsel things. I don't know, we'll see, whatever. But anyway, so I really didn't even make a sale in that 45 minutes, but it was like, or no, I did too. I did, because that was one thing. It was like, that's whenever I sold the jellyfish. Yes, I did. So I guess it was worth it. So, but I told her I was like 6 o'clock and we're out, and we were. By 6:15 we were in the car with the air conditioner blasting on us, and she's like, I need food, and I was like, word. And so we went to Taco Bell, which was like a mile away. Went to Taco Bell, got her a chicken quesadilla. I just got a tea because it was cold and that's all I wanted. And we came home and we listened to good music the whole way home. I introduced her to a new band, which I didn't think was possible because we've listened to music together her whole life, but she really liked them, which I thought was cool. So anyway, but yeah, it was a good day for an unexpected craft fair. I did really well, or well, you know, well considering. I only took part of the things because, like I said, I got there and realized I didn't even have all of my inventory. So there you go. Yeah. So, but that's all right. But yeah, it went really well. And as per always, I sold a bee and a squid. I'm telling you, that's the one consistent thing across the board. Other than that, I have no idea. And like that, I didn't have any of the succulents. I didn't have any of the little keychains. Like, I mean, I had the bare minimum of the things. So selling what I did is pretty awesome because there really wasn't a lot on the tables. Like it's kind of sad. It really did look like it was our first craft fair and we didn't know what the heck we were doing. And like at one point some lady came up and she's like, you have a very interesting name for your crochet booth, because I had the Damsel lady's inventory and all of her stuff, and so like on the side of the table there's a little banner that says Damsel in Defense. I was like, oh no. I was like, that's for this stuff. I was like, stitching ain't easy. I was like, that's what all this is. And she's like, I was like, equally as, you know, random and awkward of a name, like also, you know, very different, but yeah, that's what it is. And she's like, okay. She's like, all right then. She's like, I just wanted to tell you that. And I'm like, well, thank you. And so anyway, yeah, all the people were, I mean, really nice. Like I said, we were having a really good time. Like I said, and then it got kind of later and it was like you could tell people were kind of, you know, like I dig, and honestly that's where we've done best before, is like a craft fair that was, you know, a vendor event, whatever we're calling it, that was also a music festival. But since it was just B and I, it was like we should just probably not stay as long as we normally would have. Like if Derek would have went, we probably would have hung out for a while longer. But at that point, honestly, we were just hot and ready to come home, so maybe not, you know what I mean? But it was fun. We got to just like have a girl day. Obviously jammed good tunes the whole way up there and the whole way back, because that's how we roll. Got a chicken quesadilla out of it. So yeah, so we had a lot of fun. So I'm glad that we ended up going, even though it wiped me out yesterday. And then yeah, tomorrow is the takeover. I'm trying to just like prep myself, so today I need to like kind of whatever it. But yeah, tomorrow is the takeover, the LuLaRoe takeover. Our usual Tuesday, it's gonna be just like always, Tuesday at 5:30. It's just gonna be in a new spot. But yeah, anyway, so I'm glad we took the crochet, because otherwise I don't, yeah. I said I was kind of bummed that her artwork kept flying off the table, but I think she was alright with it. Like I said, she technically made a sell. She sold to B, so that was cool. And yeah, I would love to do this one again next year for sure. We had 2 different people come up and invite us to craft fairs, and they were both on the same day. And one was in that same town, and then another one is closer to us, and booth rent is $20. Like if you're a resident, it's free. If you're not a resident, it's $20. And I was just like, okay, for $20, because it's only 30 miles from our house, let's try it. It's November. People are thinking Christmas. Sure, let's try it. So I think we're going to sign up for that one. And that one will be the weekend after. Well, I'll have the one September 30th and then the one November 4th. So, and I did sign up for the one that's 3 hours, the Thursday before Thanksgiving. I told you I wasn't sure if I was going to do it or not. That lady finally got back to me and I was like, I'm doing it. So I signed up, so hopefully it's as good as she says, because it's only 3 hours long. It's kind of intimidating. So, but anyway, so I have those coming up. I don't know what else I'm signing up for. We shall see. But anywho, so that was our unexpected craft fair adventure. So I'm glad we went. And I know next year, like I said, I would love to sign up for this one and be a part of it and have like our usual thing. Everyone was really sweet. The people that put it on were very sweet. So yeah, we got to sit there and just listen to music all day. That was pretty cool. So, you know, so all right. So I thank you all for listening to Craft Fair Ramblings. You know, I appreciate y'all very, very much. So, all in all, it was a good one. We did it. So, okay. So I thank you all. I hope you all have a wonderfully, wonderfully blessed day. Please stay safe, and I will talk to you all very soon. You promise.
crap.